Hello, welcome to Finding My Way with Pi, Purpose, Intention, and Emotion. I am Pi. I will tell you, for the last few days, I have sat on this old belief that I uncovered. If you go back and watch Video Diary 132, Self-Compassion, What I Most Need to Hear Right Now, you'll see what belief I'm talking about and how it was born. We all possess and hold and believe limiting things about ourselves. Often these are born out of childhood, our environment, our experiences, sometimes our traumas, often our traumas. And they keep us stuck like a threshold that we reach. They could be simple, or they could be a little bit more complex. They're always deep and they're always locked in to our bodies. It could be something like, I'm unhealthy, or I can never be healthy. And therefore, every time you try to exercise or eat healthy, it always ends in failure. It could be something like, I'm terrible with money, or I'll never have enough money. And every time you get money, it leaves your hands and you can't ever seem to keep it or use it for your benefit. It could be something like, I'm not good enough for someone to love me and commit to me for the rest of my life. And therefore, commitment may be hard, and relationships can hurt and crash and burn. We all possess limiting beliefs, and self-compassion is the ability to accept ourselves and love ourselves and forgive ourselves for having those limited beliefs. It is the courage to look at them, to stare pain and hurt in the eye and say, I see you and this hurts. It's okay to cry. It's okay that this hurts. We're looking at this together. We're going to see what this feels like. And then we're going to think about it. And we're going to figure out if this belief is one you want to hold on to, or if it's what you want to change. Does it line up with what you truly want in your life? And if it doesn't, let's rewrite it. You rewrite it. You, in your own words, for yourself, rewrite your belief. And the thing about new beliefs is they're unfamiliar. They're uncomfortable. They feel like clothes that don't fit. It takes time. And we have to act as if, and we need to do whatever we need to do to remind ourselves of our new belief. And over time, you will become it. Just make sure that you're taking some kind of action that feels right for you. It could be reading it every day. It could be a reminder to practice self-compassion. It could be, whatever the change is that you're seeking in yourself. Set reminders, pick actions, set rituals around them. Keep going, even when it feels weird and hard. So here's mine. Self-compassion is not something that comes easy to me. And I have not felt like I'm good enough for decades. Now, I think that may surprise a lot of people. If you know me, you've seen me grow. You've seen me have a successful career. You've seen me raise children, buy a home in the neighborhood I wanted to live in. You've seen me be successful by all standard measures that our society holds. And through all of that, I did not exercise self-compassion. I did not have the courage to dig deep enough to unearth some of the hurts that were embedded in my heart. Instead, it was safer to conform. It was safer to be busy. It was safer to avoid it. It was safer to lie to myself, to say, I'm okay now because I've done all these things, so none of that matters anymore. Until, for me, I can no longer continue where I was in that manner. I completely burnt myself out. And depression and anxiety and even some health concerns popped up and forced my hand, if you will, of which I'm grateful now. But it forced a refocusing on my health. It forced a refocusing on myself. It, beyond a shadow of a doubt, said, look here, Kara, you cannot continue to force yourself to do things that you don't love. Yes, you love your people. That is not the point. You have to take care of yourself. And in order to do that, you need to get quiet. You need to heal. You need to look within. You need to let some of these things bubble up. It is time to handle them. It is time to look at them. Yes, they feel ugly, but it's time. We can't run from this anymore. Because if you continue to run from this, you're just going to teach your children to do the same thing. And if you want to focus on what you love in your life, you have to love yourself first. So you'd better do this hard work. Take a look at the ugly, accept it, feel it, release it, and then rewrite it. This has been a hard week for me. This belief was so deep and so painful. I remember the moment it locked in. I remember the exact moment. My dad was an alcoholic and a drug addict. I lived with him for a bit when I was 13, 14, and part of my early 15-year-old months. And he, I won't go into all the gory details, but I was alone more often than he was around. And when he would come back home after a few weeks, he'd be all strung out and look terrible and smell terrible, and I could tell he had been drunk and high for weeks. And I'd run out I'd see him coming down the driveway. It was a long driveway where we lived. And I'd run out of the house and I'd go meet him. And he would just sit in his car and he would cry. And he would say, he'd point at a picture he kept of me on his dashboard, and he would say, I looked at that and it finally broke through the fog and the days. And I remembered how much I loved you and what you mean to me. And I decided it's time to come home. I need to be here for you. This happened multiple times. Fast forward, when I was around 15 and a half, I believe, time is weird. It's hard to remember exactly, but I ended up going back and living with my mom again. My dad and I got in a fight, an argument. I told him I never wanted to talk to him again, that it hurt too much. I had gone to spend the night at a friend's house the night before Father's Day. And on Father's Day, we all woke up to a banging on the door, the front door at my friend's house. And my friend's mom answered it, and it was my stepdad. And he said, "We have to go now." And he was angry. I thought he was angry because we had my friend's mom let some boys stay over. I'm sure he was not happy about that, but that had nothing to do with the look on his face. I realized pretty quickly something's wrong. And we're driving and I kept saying, "What is it? What is it? What's wrong?" And my stepdad, bless his heart, for being the one to have to tell me, he said, "Your dad died last night, Care." I just remember being stunned. It shouldn't have been a surprise to any of us, but it hurt. It hurt. That was the moment. That moment right there, when it locked in for me, this belief that I just discovered through doing some deep reflection and healing, that I had this false belief that if I am not enough, someone will die, and it will be my fault because I was not good enough. In my 15-year-old brain, however old I was, it felt like the picture my dad kept with him, that I was not good enough to pull him back. So if you watched Video Diary 132, Self-Compassion, What I Most Need to Hear Right Now, I went through an exercise where I said, what do I most need to hear from my dad? And that helped. It helped release a lot. And it helped me figure out how to forgive myself too. But this work is not done. I know that that old belief is awful. It is ugly. I don't want it anymore. And with a belief like that, is it any wonder why in a corporate executive leadership role where I had no voice and I could not build a strong organization or protect my people because of the limitations and the fix on short-term profits and well-being be damned, I felt like I was not good enough. And if I felt like I was not good enough, that deep-rooted belief that if I'm not good enough, someone will die, my God, how could I persist there? How could I survive there? I couldn't. Because I could not live through that again. I can't be the reason for someone dying. It's warped. It's a cognitive distortion. It's not true. But it is the deep emotional trauma of a 15-year-old that locked into my body and my heart. That it's time to unearth, dig out, and rewrite and plant a new seed a healthy one that can grow, that I can nurture. So here's my new belief. I will treat myself with compassion, gentleness, understanding, forgiveness, commitment, loyalty, love, grace, belief in myself, and I will always be here for myself. I will keep this promise to myself as my guiding light. And when I do this, I am always good enough for myself and others. I'm ready to begin again. I could not have unearthed this without getting still enough to hear it. I've heard this said a couple different ways. My career coach said something like, the heart whispers, so you have to get quiet enough so you can hear it. And my professor in my Master of Arts in Happiness Studies shared how important silence is for learning, and learning includes self-growth and self-reflection and self-learning. And he shared silence is important for learning so we can hear the voice within, because it speaks in a whisper. And I heard that whisper. And when I heard it, it got loud, like thunder. And it rolled through like a violent thunderstorm. But I'm now grateful for it, but no wonder I ran away from that. It's ugly. I think I must have felt shame and embarrassment and fear over it. So I had to curiously examine it and rewrite it. And, you know, when I say curiously examine, that means without judgment. That means having self-compassion, the courage to look at it, and then the courage to love myself. What do I most need to hear? And then what do you need right now? And also, I will always be here for myself. I won't leave me. It can be difficult work to even identify a belief that you have. It starts with getting quiet. It's one of the reasons why, and my classmate shared this so eloquently, I'm going to share it again here. I can't say names because I don't have her permission to say it, but just know I'm giving credit to my classmate here. She said, people resist meditation so much because they're afraid of what it will unearth within. It's like their body knows. And I did for a long time. And it hurts. It is painful, but it's not all painful. And I can't quite describe the sense of peace and rightness I feel now, having gone through that storm, seen it, loved myself in spite of it, accepted myself, chose what's right for me, and take action on that, which starts with redefining my belief, which I did here, and then putting reminders up for myself to live it. I might even write this new belief down and put that on my wall. It's a first step. Thank you for being with me on this journey. I am so glad that you're here. I hope it helps you too. I'll see you tomorrow.